It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha. Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Brouhaha. Marshall Wood and Dale McKee. How we doing, Dale? You doing well?
Doing really well. I can't complain. Weather's gorgeous, beautiful. You know, everything's great.
Weather's gorgeous? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Nice and sunshiny. 70, 72, 73 degrees, you know. Yeah. I mean, I like it.
Boy, you talk about the weather. We'd be remiss if we didn't reflect on some of the tragic weather results of the eastern part of our country here this past weekend. There's a lot of folks out there and a lot of struggling. We remember them in our prayers, and would ask you to as well. Not you too, Dale, but all of our listeners. A lot of damage out there. It's a tough spot, brother. We hate it for them.
Yeah, and they're finding more and more. Unfortunately, they're finding more and more bodies. You know, as they go further north.
Yeah.
So Wes, you were correct on that.
Yeah.
So we do want to keep them in our prayers.
We'll turn our attention to some Brouhaha stuff. We like to talk about your sideline view. I see, looking at your sideline view, I see you hit the Kentucky and Ole Miss thing right off the bat. Boy, it was fun while it lasted, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I don't know. Watching the game, you know, I'll be honest with you. I just thought Kentucky just looked more aggressive than I did. You know, I mean, you know, more than Ole Miss did. You know, I mean, you know, their defensive line, it took over. You know, they were filling the gaps on defense, and Ole Miss couldn't get a running game going. They couldn't get their passing game going. You know, after that first drive that they got and moved down the field, like 2 minutes to start the game. After that, they were just non-existent, you know, except for that one passing play to Harris there toward the end of the third quarter that went for the touchdown to give them a short-lived lead. And, of course, you know, in the end, Kentucky made two great plays. They completed a 63-yard pass on 4th and 7, and then they got the, I call it a fumble-rooski. I don't know. You remember the old fumble-rooski?
Man, I sure do.
But it was pretty close to it, you know. I don't even know how to spell fumble-rooski, but anyway.
Take a stab at it. Come on, take a stab at it.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Can you spell fumble?
I'm not even going to try.
Come on, fumble.
I can get the fumble. I'll get the fumble. Yeah, I guess ROOKIES at the end of it.
Man, that sounds good to me.
Sure, but,
yeah, I'm proud of you. Anyway, I wasn't going to let y'all think that.
But anyway, it was, you know, tight end just hadn't been in the right place at the right time. So.
Yeah.
And then the field goal kicker, who was pretty reliable for the Rebels, he kind of sliced one there at the end from 48, and you know, then I had to watch my Saints get beat on a 58-yard field goal on Sunday. So,
yeah.
You know, so it was, you know, the ups and downs of the day, and Southern Miss Eagles, Golden Eagles, they didn't lose this weekend, unfortunately. You know, I mean,
unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, because they did not play. You know, but they'll get back on it. And I thought Mississippi State played a heck of a game against Texas. I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't go away. You know, Texas just didn't blow them out, and evidently it cost the Longhorns in the end because the Crimson Tide of Alabama are the number one team in Associated Press college football because of their sizzling or their unbelievable victory over Georgia.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I saw that Williams kid play last year in the Mississippi-Alabama game.
Yes, sir.
And you know, the young man's only 17 years old, but the boy can make catches that are unbelievable, you know.
He looked like did you like that ballerina move he made out there? Just kind of did a pirouette and then he was gone, boy. He was gone.
Yeah, he must have taken dance lessons in Saraland when he was growing up because he's got all the moves and he's really going to be a great one. He really is, you know.
Let's back up for a minute.
He acts like he's having a lot of fun. He acts like he's having fun.
Yeah, he's still young enough to have fun.
Yeah, that's the next thing.
You know, that I go back and look at the deal with Kentucky and Ole Miss. If you look back, I believe you correct me if I'm wrong. You look back to the middle of September, and Kentucky played Georgia to a 13-12 ball game. So.
Oh yeah, now Georgia's got Kentucky. There's no doubt they've got a defense. That defensive line, that number 0, he was creating what you call it
havoc.
I mean, he was just giving Ole Miss problems. They had nobody. They didn't have 2 people that could hardly block him. He was a big old boy. They say about 40, and he could move really well.
Well, I tell you what, they worked on. They shut the Rebels down. Of course, Kentucky's obviously maybe the best. I don't know how many losses they got, 1 or 2, but they're in trouble. I'm sure they handled Ole Miss very well, and that pours a lot of rain on Ole Miss's little deal. I hate to see them lose one, and but anyway, it is, and so it is what it is. We'll move on and try to win some more. Let's talk about Texas for a minute. I'm a big Manning fan, always have been all my life, ever since I can remember. I had the Heart You Who buttons and all that kind of stuff, and and I sit there and I look. And I'm really interested in Eli and not Eli, but in heck, I can't even remember his name. The young one out there.
Arch.
That shows you where I am mentally. But anyway, he had another good day. Let me ask you this, Dale. He started 2 games. If he were to start another one, I mean, I know Sark keeps saying, Ewers is the guy and Ewers is the guy. But what about locker rooms? I mean, if you get a quarterback in there like Arch, I'm sure he's very personable, he's very famous, and he's very good. I mean, what if the kids in the locker room like him better than Ewers? What do you do?
Well, the locker room usually determines who's going to be the quarterback, honestly.
Well, according to Sark.
In most cases.
Yeah.
But, I don't think you should lose your job because you got hurt, I mean, that's just my philosophy. I think that you should have at least a shot at regaining it. And I think, but the thing about it is that when he comes back, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him.
A lot of pressure.
I mean, he's going to have to do really well, and he's probably going to be looking over his shoulder at Arch.
Yeah.
I mean, because but now, you don't know the competition that Arch played. I mean, honestly, State made a good showing, but if you rated them in all the SEC teams, I don't know. They may be the bottom SEC team ranked, if somebody was ranking teams,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But what I'm saying is, and then Arch played Monroe the week before. So, I don't know if he's been challenged. It's kind of like a lot of sports writers were saying about Ole Miss. Well, they weren't challenged the first 4 games. They weren't challenged,
Yeah.
And, you make these schedule years ahead of time. So, you don't know who's good and who's not, And Wake Forest in the past had beaten Ole Miss. So, that was going to be a road test similar to that.
Hey,
so you just don't know.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I don't know, but you probably know, is who our tonight's guest is.
Well, we got Coach, a lot of people call him Coach Oz. He's the baseball coach, head baseball coach at the University of Southern Mississippi, and he's going to talk all about Southern Mississippi baseball.
All righty.
And coming off a great year last year, this first year, he's the winningest rookie head coach in USM history with his 43 wins last year.
Yeah.
And so led them to the Sun Belt Conference tournament championship, and also led them to NCAA region. The only problem is when they got the region, they had number 1 Tennessee to play.
Yeah.
So that was
tough shot.
That was a chore in itself.
Yeah.
But they had a great year. And so it's a typical Southern Mississippi team. They got hot toward the end of the season and got them into the tournament again.
Well, let's.
So he's going to talk to us about a lot of things.
Okay. Well, let's take a break, and we're about out of time for our first segment. Probably went a little long. That's okay. But let's take a break here from our sponsor, and then we'll be back with tonight's guest, USM baseball coach Oz. We'll see you after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome to the show, Coach Oz. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate y'all having me on today.
Yes, we just had a brief segment where we introduced you and told a little bit about your accomplishments in your first year, and you ended up being the most successful coach in Southern Miss history. But I'm sure that you know that it's all about the people that you're surrounded with. But just tell us a little bit about your thoughts about your first year.
Oh, well, it was it was a blast. It was fast. It was from the summer to the end of the season, it went by in a blink. It felt like, but it was everything that I could have dreamed for, wanted, and thankful for, and the opportunity that Coach Barry and Jerry McClain gave me to be the next guy, meant everything. And, but for me, it was more than that. It's not like you get to that point and you're like, okay, I made it, I'm here. I wanted to carry on. I wanted to carry on what's been going on here so well, and the history and the tradition, and so I was just proud of that. Proud of the guys. Just leaving their mark, creating their own legacy, and now we got to do it again this year.
Well, Coach, we're going to get into more about this last year's season because it was a great season. It was, the Eagles won 40 games and won the Sun Belt and went to the regional, except they got a bad draw on the regional, I thought. But that's just the way the ball bounces sometimes. But tell us how you got to Southern. Tell us a little bit about your background on, maybe where you started and, where you went to college and, and all the stops you've made on your way to Hattiesburg.
Yeah, it's a different route for sure. And I think there's it's a good testament to a lot of young coaches out there that there's not one way, to get to certain places. So, but I started off, I played here in Mississippi. I played junior college baseball at Mississippi Delta Community College. And then from there, I went to Delta State. So I think I got fall of 1992, got to Moorhead, Mississippi, Mississippi Delta Community College, then in 93 and 94 season there, the 95 and 96 season at Delta State. Very, very, I don't know, those 4 years looking back on it were very influential on me in my coaching career. I learned a lot. I had some great coaches, Terry Thompson and Brock McMurray at Mississippi Delta, man, they, young kid, didn't know much, thought he knew a lot. And, they kind of taught you, the toughness, the blue collar, you have to earn everything. Then I go to Delta State, and it was the same thing there. Coach Marchant was the head coach. Coach Kennison was the assistant. And, and again, just great mentors to me from a coaching side of it. Then, so after I got done playing, I stuck around. Coach Kennison hired me on his staff. I was a graduate assistant 97 and 98. Then he hired me full-time in 99 as his pitching coach, and I stayed there for 3 years. And after the 2002 season, I got hired as a pitching coach, recruiting coordinator at Arkansas State University with Keith Kessinger. Had 4 years there, and so that was about a 6-year period of my coaching, starting off that or 10-year period, I guess, that I was an assistant and stuff. So kind of took a leap of faith after the 2006 season at Arkansas State. I left there and I became a head coach at a high school at Gulfport High in 2007 and 2008. I was a head baseball coach at Gulfport High School. And little did I know then, it was really starting to shape me as a coach. Once I, instead of being just a pitching coach, now I'm doing offensive stuff. I'm coaching third, all that. 2 years there. Then I go to Jones there, 8 years, really 7.5. and same thing, just really evolved. And so there's about a 9.5, 10-year period that from Gulfport and at Jones that really started shaping me a lot with my coaching. I think I became a better pitching coach and all that stuff at that time. And left Jones in the national championship year. I left it December the year, 5 months later, Jones wins the national championship. It was a tough decision to leave, but I had a chance to go to Louisiana Tech. And I don't know, something just kind of struck me. I've had some opportunities to leave before that, and I said no to things. But I was like, you know what? If I want a chance to be a head coach at the Division I level, I might need to get back in it. So I did it. It's hard leaving Jones because that place was real special to me. But I went to Louisiana Tech and part of 2 good years there at Tech, and then got hired here at Southern Miss. Coach Berry brought me here in the summer of 2017. So blessed, the route's different. I kind of bet on myself a lot of those decisions, I guess, and just thankful to be around good people, good programs, and just very, very thankful to be where I'm at today.
Well, thank you for that kind of history. Let me ask you one thing. Now, junior college ball is a little bit different than maybe senior college a little bit because of the way you probably have to sign your players. As far as what I'm saying is that a lot of times most of the successful junior college players or teams have two-way players. Was that basically the way at Jones? You might pitch, or you might play first base, or you might hit when you're not pitching. Well, did you have to do a lot of that at Jones?
I remember we had several. Yeah, I think there were several guys that could do multiple things. I'm not saying that we tried to, formulate the roster based on that, but definitely that was a nice. It's kind of getting 2 for 1. You get a guy that can do 2 things into one player, from the pitching side and offensive side. Now, that said, it's hard to do. A little bit easier to do it at that level than it is this level because, in Jones, you played usually like a Tuesday and a Saturday. You're not playing 5 days a week like you are here sometimes. So it was spread out a little different. It was a little bit easier to manage. But we definitely had some guys that did both sides of the baseball.
Well, let's talk about the schedule. I just know for years that USM was in the Conference USA, so a lot of their non-conference games were against Sunbelt teams. Now that you're in the Sunbelt, is it more difficult to schedule games?
Well, it's a puzzle you put together. I think, Coach Berry found a really good formula, a really good model for our schedule. About 4 or 5 years ago, it feels like it is when it changed. When we started putting a schedule together that, man, if you win games with it, you're going to have a chance to host and stuff. And and maybe longer than that, maybe 7, 8 years ago is when he kind of figured that model out. And so we're just following that same pattern, trying to be as competitive as you can in your non-conference weekends. And then your midweek games, trying to be as competitive as you can. When we went to the Sun Belt, we lost a few of those yearly opponents that we played non-conference now became conference opponents. But we've been able to be creative and pick up others, and so it's always a challenge scheduling because you want to try to put a good one together and that you can get rewarded with, and not everybody wants to come to Pete Taylor Park.
Well, I imagine it seems like, especially last year, the 5,300 folks at every ball game, and I think you were top 10 in the nation in attendance. So, I'm sure it's an eye opener for some of these teams from the north that especially come down during the early part of February.
No, there's no doubt. I had a conversation last week with the head coach at the University of Oregon, Mark Wasikowski. He was the head coach at Purdue back in 2019 when they came here, and so he called me up out of the blue, and he said, "I want to bring the Oregon Ducks down to Hattiesburg if we can make that happen, and if y'all would come and do a home and home." And his comments on it, he said, "Man, that was just an unbelievable place to play." And very complimentary of our fan base and the atmosphere. And so, yeah, people know this is a really special place to play at. It's a great fan base, and that's a credit to our fans. And the environment here is really cool.
Oh, most definitely, especially with the right field roost and all the. And you got some characters at those ball games, and some of them know how to umpire. I really believe that. But let's talk a little bit about last year. Last year, the season, you ended up 43-20, but you were like 20-10 in conference. But you really got hot there at the end of around the 1st of May. It just seems like you won like every game that you played, maybe except for one. Then you go to the conference tournament and you win all 4 of them. So what transpired? Did the pitching just all come together? Did the hitting all come together? Defense come all together? Or did just putting players in the right spot?
I think it was a lot of ownership by the players. I think they really, it kind of very strange, so our streak, our run coincided with when we lost one of our weekend starters, Will Armistead, which you look at that as like, oh, this is bad. And it was, I hated it, but we lost Will, then McCarty English went down as well. And just when it looks as grim as it might be, that's when guys stepped up, and especially on the mound, and did a great job. Offensively, got rolling, and, I just think the group really took ownership, of it, that, it's their team, and they just got hot, man, and there was, no other options. We've seen that time and time again here at Southern Miss, and I think it's a credit to the fact that, there's a culture here, and the expectations are what they are, and we're going to figure it out. We got to find a way, and it was very fun to watch that and to watch those guys just finally get to a point, 2/3 through the season where they truly expected to win every game they played. And when you get to that point, it gets pretty powerful, and that's what you try to get to. And sometimes you wish it had happened right out of the gate, but it's something that they got to learn and they got to figure out.
Well, Coach, one final question, and of course, every coach is probably doesn't like this subject sometime, but recruiting is becoming more difficult because of the way the Major League Draft has changed to July, and you end the season in May, and you have your exit interviews, and you think so-and-so's coming back, and he might get drafted, he might not, and then he may sign, he may not sign, and then all of a sudden in July he gets a call from a Major League team, and he's gone, and then you got the NIL. So how have you adapted to this new version of recruiting?
Well, I kind of made a vow after the summer of 2022, when we lost 6 arms in the draft and we lost a guy, in the portal, that, I don't want to get caught like that again, so our model of recruiting changed a little bit, that to where I went heavier, especially on arms, and stuff. But really, you got to protect the program. You can't, if you try to be exact with your numbers, that's hard to do because you never know when the draft, just like in 22, we had 6 arms drafted, and I was really expecting 3, maybe 4. And but those are great surprises. That means the guys grew and they performed. So you just got to protect the program, and just what I mean by that is make sure you're looking at all the variables that could happen. That from a personnel standpoint, whether it's the draft, whether it's the portal, all the injuries, things of that nature. So with the NIL and the portal, our job is to build a real relationship with these players, and I think we do a great job of that here. I think it's been done like that here for many, many, many years, and our job to continue that. And just, you have a great environment, you have a great fan base, you have a program that wins, you love your players, you take care of them, you have the ability to give them some NIL to make them feel appreciated. All those things helps you, retain and keep those guys here, at Southern Miss, and that's our job.
Coach, this is Marshall, and I want to, I read somewhere there's like 500,000 high school baseball players out there a year. About 2% of them make it D1. What would your message be to high school or junior high kids that aspire to play at the next level? What would your advice be to them today?
Well, man, just work your tail off. I mean, just go, get in the weight room. I'm gonna tell you, everything's changed in all sports. You better be physical. It's you got to put in the time, and physical strength matters. It's become a more physical game than back even when I played. And just what's going on. So, and the other thing was this is go to. If you want to play somewhere, man, go get in front of those places. Go to those showcases and camps of schools that you really would be interested in. It's sometimes you got to do a little more work as a player of getting in front of folks. So, that'd be my advice to them. It's just, number one, get strong, get in that weight room, work on your skill, work on your craft, work on the game, but and then go try to get in front of the places that you'd be aspiring to play at.
Coach, we appreciate that, and we're about to come to the end of our time. I'm going to ask you to hold on for a moment. We're going to take a break to hear from one of our sponsors, and Dale and I will be back with tonight's final segment after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back to tonight's final segment. I tell you what, Coach Oz is about all you would expect him to be coming out of that Pete Taylor tree, buddy, and starting like he did. I tell you what, we got something to be proud of in collegiate athletics in this part of the state. It's USM baseball. Wouldn't you say, man? They do a great job.
Yeah, well, they're just a consistent winner. I mean, our SEC teams have had great success winning national championship, but they had some hard times. Southern hadn't gone through that yet.
Yeah.
So they do have a quality program down there, a consistent winner. Yeah. And they've had like 8 straight 40-win seasons. Nobody in the country's done that.
Yeah. Quick question for you, Dale.
Outstanding.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
And we're not going to have time to get into this. Are you familiar with the power rankings and how that comes together? Do you know what makes that
No,
up?
sir, I don't.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Well, I do. I'm putting something together on that. We don't have time, but it's very interesting. Maybe we can get to this next week. I do want to just give you a quick overlook right quick after week 5, the power ratings. I'm just going to let you know Bama's moved up to number 1. Texas is 2. Ohio State's 3. Tennessee 4. Georgia 5. Miami, Oregon, Penn State, Mizzou, and Michigan. We'll stop right there. But I can think you can find Ole Miss now at 15. But anyway, we're out of time, Dale, and it's always a pleasure to be with you and do these Brouhahas. We want to appreciate our guest, Coach Oz, tonight, and let you guys know that you can follow us on Facebook at the Brouhaha, and we catalog all of our shows on our YouTube channel at the Brouhaha, which you can listen to them on demand. We'd like to appreciate you for being with us, our listeners. We thank Coach Oz, and Dale, I thank you for all you do in the Brouhaha endeavor. We appreciate you, brother, but I'm afraid now has come the time where it's time to say goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale.
And we'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Dale McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.